Hey, this is Sigrun with Universal Pagan Temple, and we're going to be looking at the opinions of Shemane Nugent, which is the wife of famous musician Ted Nugent, Cat Scratch Fever, that guy. So she's got some opinions on Halloween, and they're pretty entertaining. But I want to say, if you've been watching my channel or if you're new to the channel, thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. If you like my videos, please feel free to leave me a like or share my video. I really appreciate it. Leave me a comment. And if you really like my videos, please feel free to leave me a donation, either on PayPal or become a Patreon member. I really appreciate that. But let's get into the video here. Yeah, so there's an article, and I'll link it below. Shemane Nugent, the wife of musician Ted Nugent, recently shared her views on Halloween, urging Christians to reconsider celebrating the holiday. She posted her statement on Instagram. Nugent explained that her perspective on Halloween has changed over the years. She noted this shift came particularly after learning more about its spiritual significance in witchcraft communities. Okay. Now she says, I'm probably not going to win followers with this video, but if you're not gonna celebrate Halloween either, you're gonna like what I have to say, she said. I want to share some of the reasons why I'm not celebrating Halloween, and I used to. Full disclosure, I used to and have taken my son trick-or-treating, but my eyes have been opened, so to speak. Okay, and then she describes how her understanding of the holiday shifted after researching its origins and spiritual implications. She goes on to say, I really understand, especially in the past few years, my disconcernment is elevated, and I've been doing a deep dive into spiritual warfare. It's always a problem with Christians when they say spiritual warfare. And this is the day of spiritual warfare, October 31st. She continued, October 31st, the world calls it fun, and let's just dress up and dress up our kids as devils and witches. And look at the money that's being spent on decorations, and look at those decorations, skeletons, evil spirits, darkness, and things like that. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. I haven't seen a child dress up as a devil or a witch in a long time. Um, I've always, yeah, not in a long time, not even as a child, actually. Uh, Kids dress up as, princesses or cartoon characters or action heroes. And yeah. Okay. Nugent referenced claims from John Ramirez about how practitioners of witchcraft view this holiday. In witchcraft, Halloween isn't just a make believe, it's when ooh, is actually trying to harvest your soul. Goofiness. Okay. No. That's what the Christian deity does. That's what the Abrahamic deity does. It goes around harvesting your soul. That's why a lot of Christians, they really don't have a soul. You could see it in their eyes, in the way that they talk, in the way that they treat people. I mean, they always talk in apologetics. That's when you can tell that they've lost their soul. Is when they're constantly talking in apologetics and they can't talk in any other manner. Sorry. It's because their soul has been hijacked by that thought form. Okay, and then let's go on. But let's go on. And that's when that they believe that they have the authority to cast spells and to reach you. Witches can cast spells whenever the fuck we want. And we don't need the authority of a day, of a year, to do spell work. I mean, yeah, sure, you could do spell work on Samhain. That's fine. It's a good day for reaching out to your ancestors. The veil is thin. But We don't need the fucking authority. And then she goes on, your loved ones, your ancestors, and strengthen the connection between the living and the dead. Well, yeah, as I just said, the veil between the living world and the world of the dead is thin during Samhain, and it's cross-quarter on Beltane. And then she says, you might not think it's a big deal. Look at what you're decorating your homes with. Death, right? Well, Christianity is a death cult. What are you talking about? You're hanging up crucifixes around your house, and that's a Roman execution method. It's like if the French decided, oh, I'm just gonna hang guillotines around my house, or Americans put up electric chairs around. And then she says, people think it's harmless, but meanwhile, these witches and warlocks are dedicating this whole night to Satan. Woo! The woo part is added. It ends in Satan. Sorry. When Christians start to get into this, I just can't help it. It's just so much goofy shit. So there are very few witches that actually believe in a deistic Satan. Most witches worship pagan deities, pagan gods, pagan goddesses. And I know that Christians love to equate pagan gods as being Satan, when Satan is a Christian ideal, and there's actually a lot of evidence that Yahweh is Satan. And then she says, she concluded by acknowledging her own past participation in Halloween celebrations while emphasizing her changed perspective. She says, so witches call it their holy night. We have plenty of holy nights, dear. I mean, whatever your tradition is as a witch, you've got plenty of holy nights. It's not just this one. Okay. Keep on interrupting. And then she goes on to say, and they say that when their power is strongest to reach, especially the believers. And again, I've done this in the past. I've celebrated no more. My eyes are open. Her knowledge is extremely limited on this. This isn't the strongest day of the year because, it's cross-quarter Beltane. And depending on your tradition, other days might be more important. Other, sacred days, sacred times may be more important. Just the entire premise of her saying, having the authority to cast spells. Who is she getting this information from? John Ramirez. I should take a look into him at some point, but it's just very, typical goofy. And this type of ideology and speech really belongs in the 1980s during the Satanic Panic. And I know that Christians are trying to start another Satanic Panic in America, but we've got the internet now. It's going to be a lot harder with the entire pagan population, witch population coming out against you and saying, no, shut your face. You're being an asshole. Okay, and then the article goes on. The statement has sparked discussion among her followers about spiritual aspects of Halloween celebrations. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of Americans have Irish ancestry, and Samhain is tied to Ireland. So, they're well within their rights to celebrate it, but the way it's celebrated in America is very commercial. It's taken on very Christmas-like undertones, or not undertones, overtones. It's a big to-do. People decorate their lawns. They buy a bunch of candy, and candy's very expensive right now too. But it's become a very secular holiday. But if you are pagan or a witch and you recognize Samhain, as a, a holy day, when the Sabbaths to celebrate. It does take on a different meaning. And that's one of the first things you learn as you step into paganism. No matter what path you're following, you first study the gods, and then you study the respective wheel of the year, or whatever your tradition may call it. But you learn the cycles of celebrations throughout the year, whether your calendar is solar based or lunar based. Acknowledgement of your ancestors, a perfect night for ancestor worship. And then you see it in Mexico, the Day of the Dead celebration, where they are giving offerings to their deceased family members, and they've got their altars with pictures of their deceased family members on them. And that's, they're Catholic, but, it's very much associated with paganism. And that's November 2nd. So it's just like right up against Halloween. But yeah, this just goes more into the Christian evangelical demonization of anything that isn't their specific brand of Christianity, which is, just creating fear mongering, and just general goofiness. Like I said, trying to start up another Satanic Panic 2.0 in the year 2025. But anywho, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, blessed be.